From Bowl-O-Rama in Welland, Ontario, it's the 1989 Brunswick Rose Festival 5-Pin Bowling Classic. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Welland. I'm Paul Hendrick, and my colleague for today's broadcast, no stranger to bowling circles, of course, Walter Heeney, the executive director for the Masters Bowlers Association in this province, and another great tournament, the final event of a very busy provincial schedule.
Well, a good tournament for us, the last one on our provincial tour. It's going to be special for me. Instead of being in the booth all the time, I'm going to get a chance to be on the lanes for a change, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Well, you've got some tough competition. Let's look ahead to the top qualifier. Fraser, Hambly from Toronto, just a terrific tournament today.
Well, a great tournament. He got by the second-day blues. He had a 380 last game to blaze into the lead, averaged over 280, and he won the tournament last month. He looks like he's in line to win another one today.
The toast of the tourney on the women's side, of course, from London, Brenda Heaney, the defending champion in this event, and she's been untouchable so far.
Well, she outdistanced the field, 234 pins ahead of Shirley Chiki. With that kind of an impressive showing, she should have no trouble winning.
This afternoon, we'll see 3 men's matches and, of course, 2 women's matches. How do you like the competition as it fares up, including yourself?
Well, looking at it on the men's side, the Greg Peteraitis just coming out of the Nationals where they won the gold medal. John Willock, who certainly had the line today, he was certainly the top player. I'll just have to take my chances in the middle, and if I don't make it, I'll root for one of the other fellas.
This is a very big year in master bowlers, and we have to talk about a quarter century and just great strides, the event and the sport.
Well, for the sport, 25 years with the Masters this year, our 25th season. Certainly, we've been able to recognize it with our commemorative book. We've had the pins. We've talked about it at our various events, and we've still got some charter members around, Fraser being one of them.
Well, we've got 5 matches on tap, as I've mentioned, and we'll be back. And our ladies' quarterfinal match, contestant number 1 from Mississauga, Claudina Lista, averaging 237 points per game. Heading into this match, her opponent today from Font Hill, Shirley Chiki, averaging just around 240 in what is expected to be a very competitive match. The winner assured of $500. The runner-up, not too bad, Walter, $350. And again, a competitive match expected, and the winner moving on to the semi-final round as the ladder continues.
Well, moving on to the final, Paul, and what's happening, we're going to see a lot of experience with Claudina, and certainly Shirley, who has only had 1 Masters victory. She's certainly bowled for many years, but Claudina's been on a high lately, and we'll certainly talk about that.
Been bowling for 38 years. In fact, has won 1 Masters event and hoping to make it 2 here. And yes, I must correct myself. This is a semifinal match. Tough break on the left side there for Shirley.
Well, in her own backyard here, and she's certainly from Font Hill and certainly does some bowling here, and likes to bring the ball in from the right-hand side, and is going to have a lot of experience here.
High score in this tournament of 290, and I'm sure if she matches that, she'll move on to the final round. But Claudina Lista certainly no slouch when it comes to this sport.
Well, no slouch. 7 Masters wins, just returned from a Red Deer, Alberta, where she won second place in the Canadian Open, just losing out to Laurie Thompson from British Columbia. Seasoned player. She's already had 2 games under her belt here today, beating both Sue Wanklin and Connie Dreher, and she'll like these 2 frames here to get rolling.
1 pin, far left-hand side, still standing. Talking to her about the second place finish out in Red Deer. Of course, that was on national television, televised by CBC, and she said the television didn't bother her, just lost her concentration going into that final match.
Well, lost her concentration, didn't really have a good game, bowled only 200, and certainly Laurie's game was only 248, but she survived missing the headpin a few times in the middle of the game and beat Claudina easily.
And this after Claudina led all qualifiers going into that final round.
Well, that's right. And not only here, but they're going to get a chance to repeat that rivalry. They're going to play in the Canadian Masters Championships, which begin July the 4th in St. John's, Newfoundland. And Laurie will be representing BC. Claudina will be from Ontario. And it'll certainly give them a chance to go at it again. And it makes for a lot of fun in 5-pin bowling.
No, sir, not on the right-hand side. Of course, when we talk about the Masters for Claudina, this will be her 3rd trip to the Nationals. They in St. John's, as you mentioned. She has won a silver and a gold and hoping to stay within the top 3 again this time.
Oh, exactly, and should do very well. I think when you look at the overall scoring here this weekend, Paul, the ladies suffered a little bit. The Claudina and Shirley both finished in a group, and they found themselves 250 pins behind Brenda Heaney, and I think Brenda Heaney dominated this field, and the ladies just didn't score as well. And they're just not, when the ball just not getting enough turn on it, and that may be part of it when it's during the release, and this may be where, if anything, Shirley might have a little bit of an edge because she can turn the ball over a little bit. She brings it out of her hand. You see it turn right there, and you see it carries into the pocket.
Nice play to the far right-hand side, gets them all down.
In fact, she brings the ball right to left with a hook ball action and gets out of the gate here. And that first frame where you bowl that one frame by yourself, you get that out of the way. She got a spare there, so that helps her a little bit. And now she gets the chance to put a couple of numbers up. And Claudina, who had to come from behind to beat Connie Dreher, may find herself doing the same thing.
Shirley's had a personal best of 417 and continues to bowl like that. She'll come somewhere close. However, scores have been somewhat down here, but I guess comments about the lanes have been very favorable, and they've
down for the ladies. They've been up for the men. The two bowlers, two 2800s and 2743 to make the stepladder for the men was certainly as good a scores as we've ever had. Well, it's going to be up to Claudina here to get things going, and there's a strike to get back in this game right now. It's still early as they jockey back and forth.
Oh, it sure is.
Just trying to keep the flow going here and putting some marks up on the board.
It's been 6 years since Claudina last won the Rose Festival Classic. 1983. There's your score.
Oh, it's been a popular event. Brenda Heaney, of course, is the defending champion, so we're seeing something a little extra special when Brenda gets back to defend her crown. There's a left corner, a good count. And just wants to keep sparing. As you know, you watch her spare this. When she shoots at this left corner pin, she'll be playing the ball across the lane.
So this is a young lady who combines both academics with the athletics, and the athletics obvious to us here, but the academics, she is an architect.
An architect, and a great role model for the bowlers, and a great example. She's part of the FAME program with the provincial government, the Female Athletes Motivating Excellence, and she's been part of that provincial program as one of our 5-pin bowling champions, and has done just an excellent job representing our sport.
Shirley Chiki here, of course, part of a very famous bowling tandem, Walter, when we look at her husband, Joe.
Well, Joe, who's a Hall of Famer, and she dropped this one out a little bit.
Oh.
And she let it go. And, yeah, Joe's been inducted into the Hall of Fame, certainly one of the top bowlers in the Niagara area, and certainly across Canada. And certainly Joe and Shirley have been a great twosome. Turns that ball over there just right.
Nice shot.
Brings it around. That's the hook ball action, moving it right to left, and gets that spare, and wants to put another mark on the board here, showing a 20-pin lead right now through 3 frames.
That called for a precision hit on that front pin.
Well, you want to be on the side. It's similar to the strike shot, and you just want to keep the same motion up. And now on the spare, this is where you want to hit the head pin. And she does, and gets the count, and gets some local support here, too, being in Welland at the Rose Festival, and certainly a lot of local rooters, and both of them very, very popular players.
Shirley's in a groove. Claudina hopes to get back into one here.
Well, it just wants to keep the marks going along. Certainly Shirley's on a fine game with 125, and the 5-pin game is so high scoring, and that's the problem right there, the splits. And Claudina knows now that she's got a problem bringing herself through the 4th frame with 98, and Shirley's lead is 27 and is going to start to grow.
In Claudina's semifinal match win over Connie Dreher of Hamilton, Connie had a similar problem, knocking out the front pin, but nothing else.
Yeah, Connie's, she played out west also, and her team finished 3rd out there, and she's been going through a lot of bowling lately, and she's glad to have the season end.
Gonna miss it.
I guess what Connie, with her biggest effort this year, she turned to coaching even at her young age, and coached the Bantam boys team from Hamilton to a national title.
Major sacrifice.
Out in Regina, gave up a chance to play on the national team, and certainly it was a major sacrifice and a commitment to the game, and at her young age she should be congratulated. Here's Claudina now with a major problem. Wants to put a mark up on the board. Let's get a mark.
There we go.
Get a mark, get us especially a strike. That's all you can do at that stage of the game, and turn it back to Shirley.
Walter, you mentioned Shirley famous to these lanes, and of course the area as well, and Dunville.
Dunville with her
ready mix concrete business.
Sure, done very well for herself. There she goes, another strike though, and yeah, her and her late husband Ed, who built that together, Ed Neal, and like I say, now with Joe, and certainly one of the more pleasant 5-pin bowling stories.
course, advancing this far over the course of 10 games, you're going to have your highs and lows. And Shirley had a low of 182, but again, a high of 290. So that 182 was a rare occurrence, and she bowled well enough, of course, to make the ladder and to see her on television today.
Well, and sitting right now with a 59-pin advantage, Claudina has pretty well got to come with some strikes now. The way Shirley has just excelled here with throwing this triple in a row. We better get some strikes in a hurry. That was almost a must shot, and she needs certainly the minimum of a corner pin spare here just to keep this along. Like I say, trailing by 59 pins. They're both on doubles. And Claudina certainly has her work cut out for her here as she's wants to keep the same motion. She's been crossing the ball over the head pin a little bit, putting it in the left-hand side. And I think that's going to do it. Only the 8th frame, but she's going to find herself into a big hole.
And I'm not sure whether television plays a factor, but I think the key for Claudina is to stay off television.
Well, part of it, I guess. But when you're so good, it's the point that you're on TV so often. You're in the finals, and you know, it's tough to be the winner all the time, and certainly it's great to just be there. And I know the old story about Jack Nicklaus, how he had more second-place finishes than anybody else, and you do that because you're so great.
Good play down the left-hand side, knocks out the remaining pins, but the mountain is high and perhaps insurmountable.
Insurmountable, because it's 276 is the best that Claudina is looking for, and Shirley's going to get that. Gives us a chance to look at Connie Dreher. Her score 2388, won $250. Sue Wankin with her 2349 picked up 200. Brenda Hamilton with 2342 picked up 160. And Sandy Cuthbert, she was the last lady in the money, picking up $140. This miss of the head pin, though, brings her 205 through the 6th, and still well in control. Looking at 276 to wrap it all up, and picks up another 25 in this frame to bring her to 230, and 276 is getting ever closer.
Mention prize money, Walter, and evident you can have fun on this tour and make a buck as well.
Make a buck as well. Certainly Ian Cameron, Rick Wilkins, a couple of the fellas made close to $7,000, I guess, this year, and certainly it's certainly a recreation and a sport, and it's something the fellas have been able to parlay into something a bit lucrative. Dave Pankoff, of course, is the biggest winner this year. Brenda Heaney's fiance, winning $25,000, which was the major 5-pin prize.
Well, Brenda with an opportunity to pad that honeymoon fund with a probable victory here this afternoon.
With another 1,000, she's certainly the heavy favorite, and looking at another 1,000 to take with her. Shirley here isn't in any trouble. She's just had a poor frame last time. She misses the head pin again here, but knowing that 276 is the maximum score, she's
perhaps a chance to let up just a little bit, knowing you've got such a big lead.
Picks these pins up here. It's going to be up to Claudina's going to have to throw 4 strikes in a row, and pinning these pins here. Claudina now needing 4 strikes in a row, and that's going to be a most difficult task. And sitting through the 9th frame at 255. Like I say, the best Claudina is going to is 276, and every shot has to be a strike. So it's a major undertaking at this stage. Difficult.
Yes.
There's the first one. Needs 3 more.
Lista was telling me that during her years in YBC wasn't all that successful. Had to take some time off during school, university, of course, but has come back with a tear since then in 1983, and as we mentioned, has won 7 master tournaments.
That's right. Done very, very well. Went to school in Buffalo, so she didn't play 5 pins as much. And like I say, looking here for 3 more, and
there we go.
She's 2 away from having a chance. And
not going to go down without a fight.
Not without a fight. And that's to say, as each shot becomes a must to have. She'll be looking back at this game, wondering why she put herself in such a hole.
Member of Park Royal, Bowl-O-Rama in Mississauga off Truscott Drive.
And there it goes. Shirley Chiki's going to move on to the final. Play against Brenda Heaney as Claudina finishes up her game here. Just a lot to ask. The way the conditions were, Claudina averaged just under 240 for the weekend, and had bowled 265 and 279 before this, and a lot to ask to finish off as she bowls 246,
and regardless, just a great tournament.
Just a great tournament. Picks up some more money, picks up some more prestige, and certainly a place in the 5-pin game. We can look down the rest of the ladies. Helen McCallum, 22.94, another lady that's going into the Hall of Fame this year. Shirley's coming up with a big finish. Linda Armstrong, who's going to Newfoundland with the Masters team, 22.49. Anna Gazdia, 22.36. Jen Donovan, 22.28. Mark Bratkin, 22.16. Anna Swartzman, 22.11, along with Susie Bowles from St. Catharines, 22.11.
She's hot.
She's hot, and she's finishing nicely, and it's a nice victory for Shirley, and
confidence booster. She's going to need more of the same coming up against Brenda.
She's going to need more of the same. Brenda works the ball real well, and you're going to see the opposite style. Brenda works the ball left to right, and
wow. Is it going to go down? I don't think so.
Don't think so. A good working ball, though, and brings Shirley to 298, 246.
So Shirley advances to play Brenda Heaney from London in the championship match. That is coming up. And, of course, first prize money of $1,000 at stake. We'll be back with more. Our top qualifier through 10 games and set to defend her championship here in Welland is Brenda Heaney from London. Average score coming into this match, 263, and going for $1,000 in prize money. The runner-up is assured of $500, and her opponent will be Shirley Chiki, who we've already seen dispose of Claudina Lista. And another great match here, and can Shirley keep it going for another game?
Well, she's got the ball to try and do it. Brenda's got to be the true favorite, though. I don't want to dispel anything about it. She won this qualifying round by 234 pins, and that was almost a full game the way they were going, and she did it all today. She had the big score, and she's certainly up for this. She's the defending champion, and Brenda Heaney should give her a real, should be in the driver's seat here.
So the veteran versus youth, and
for sure with the youth, and just the opposite styles. As we talked about Shirley, who brings the ball right to left, and Brenda Heaney, who comes in left to right, and works the ball so hard to get it to the head pin, and obviously works being the winner here last year. The winner, certainly in the final game here this year. It's certainly a big accomplishment. And just one frame, getting this frame out of the way. It's Brenda's choice would be the choice of being the high qualifier. Brenda would get the choice of finishing first or finishing last. And she took the choice of finishing first, so she wants to have her game done with Shirley still having one frame to bowl.
And there you see the difference in styles. Lots of play on that ball.
Lots of play on that ball, moving it left to right and working it to the head pin. And like I say, shot 1446, I think, today, and for 5 games, nearly 290 a game, and just outdistanced the field.
Whoa.
Well, it gets a split, so it's going to keep it close for a while. Brenda's going to be part of the Masters, the national ladies team, going to Newfoundland as well, and a busy summer coming back, the wedding in August. And
well, she had a great 6 tournaments. In fact, finished 3rd out of the top 6, so going to St. John's is one of the favorites from this province and nationally.
Well, nationally, and the interior ladies do so very well out there, coached by Dottie Britton, who seems to be the perennial coach, and she's also from Beamsville down in this area, and the ladies always do well, and they'll be favorites to bring back gold medals. A little bit of a tangle with the machine.
Had a high score in this tournament of 309. Settles for the far pin on the left.
Well, I bowled her today, and she just took over with the tournament today, and just did very well, and like I say, just dominated the scoring. Shirley's going to be in this game. Like I say, getting that one frame out of the way. Now she gets a chance to play 2 frames. Get some motion here. Come down from the excitement. It would be pretty exciting beating Claudina. There's no question about that. Inside, she's got to have it, the adrenaline flowing a bit, beating the, the current Ontario Masters champion, the silver medals, and the nationals, and so on. And be a great accomplishment. She's got to get that out of her system a little bit now. Settle down, cover this corner, which she's going to do.
Yes.
And throw another mark here, and in one game, it's always anything can happen, and certainly that's what's going on here.
Shirley's been bowling for the better part of 38 years, and discussed age. She said she's somewhere over 50, but we'll refer to her as a spring chickie.
A distinguished career, and just wants to get this on the side again, but no, she's a little tighter this game, and Unfortunate. You gotta play to the head pin in this game. There isn't any other way of scoring, and that's one of 5-pin bowling's unique tricks, is that it can be picked out and then you've got a wide open split.
Bad luck here for Shirley.
Well, she pins them off, and not a whole lot she can do with this now. It's not going to be as high scoring as the last game, possibly at 298, 246. So it's the money's still there. It's not a question of how much you score. It's winning the game, and gets that out of the way. That's an unfortunate shot. Going through the third with 48. Now Brenda is up, and her 2 frames and a chance to work a couple of marks. That's really what the order of the day is right now.
28 years of age and a physiotherapist at University Hospital in London.
Well, has done very well. She's on our board of directors, and certainly brings a good presence to the board, and very interested in the game. She's done a lot, works a lot with the YBC, with the youth bowling, and she's certainly an asset.
Fine group of people on and off the lanes.
Well, it's working out real well with, Claudina being the architect and Brenda being a physiotherapist. It's certainly been exceptional for us, and uses a lot of lane with that ball, doesn't she? She sends it across there and gets a spare, and
this sport certainly has picked up image-wise when we look back to the 50s, hasn't it, Walter?
Well, when you look back to the automatic machine coming along in the mid to late 50s, a lot of things, as we talked about, are 25 and 30 years old this year with the YBC, the 5-pin association, and so on. And these things all brought the bowling centers from the billiard hall reputation kind of thing. They brought the families into the center. They made them recreation centers as opposed to what they are today.
And of course, master bowling strength, I would have to think, is the YBC, and that grows.
Well, it grows, and it's been feeding the tournament ranks. And we've got a hold up here as the pin setter knocked out the 3-pin that Brenda left, and we've got to get this back here. They're going to have to do a manual clearing down at the back. Gets the spare. 64 through 3 and a spare in the 4th. A modest 16-pin lead here, but Shirley wants to get a couple of marks here so this game doesn't fade away on her. And she's competitive right now, but she's been having a little trouble getting the ball at this time. It's not quite the same Shirley as we saw against Claudina. I think it's part of the letdown. It's part of the mental part of the game. She might think she's throwing the same ball and so on, but she's a little mentally down from the last game. Like I say, certainly a big victory to beat Claudina, and that was a tough shot. Nobody was sparing that 3-pin this weekend. Tough shot to carry. It can be done, but it can be a little more difficult.
And the confidence factor, very important. And as you can see with Brenda, she seems to be playing with a head of steam behind her, and very much confident.
Very confident. Had a big score today. Knows it. Shot 1466 today. Like I say, outdistanced the field. And Shirley here is with only 63 in the 4th. Is only down the 1 count, and she wants to pull herself back together again, get the motion going, and pull this back together. One shot will do it. Well, here's a corner, and she's been covering this corner, especially with the ball going right to left. It should be able to move across the lane, and this can get her back on the track a little bit.
Shirley bowls twice a week and masters, so.
Well, that's fairly normal for a lot of people, and she covers this corner, which is what she wants to do, and that's fairly normal for a lot of bowlers these days. A couple of major leagues, maybe a fun league in a major league, and then they play the Masters, and they run these tournaments. We run altogether 11 tournaments during the year, so it's pretty well one a month, and it keeps everybody pretty busy.
Brenda, after a 1466 earlier today, that comes from an 1166, so she really picked it up.
Oh, turned it on completely, and just did exceptionally well, and like I said, outdistanced the field, 234 pins, and I was playing with her, and she just threw a tremendous amount of strikes, and the ball was working real well. And this one's going to drift away, and Shirley's getting some extra life here, as Brenda hasn't been able to run this game away the way she'd want to, and
make sure she gets it on the last attempt.
Gets it on the last one, brings her to the 5th at 107, but Shirley was 63 in the 4th on a spare, and is still in the game, down just the 15 pins or so. She was down before that frame. So Brenda, realizing wants to get a mark.
Yes. Knew it.
Well, loves to play in that pocket, and now is going to keep her lead and leaves it up to Shirley, who's been having her problems here with her with the momentum and just keeping the speed up and so on. She's been dropping the ball a little bit at the line where she really wants to get it out on the lane, turn it over right to left, and move it into the pocket. And that's what she does. And this becomes a pretty big shot for Shirley to get her right back in the game. As they both have strikes going through the 6th. Shirley's only down 14 pins. There it is, 107 to 93, and both working on strikes. And Shirley wants a mark here.
Brenda has opened up the door ever so slightly
and does the job. Strikes
Shirley's
in bunches.
Try to kick it in anyway.
Strikes in bunches are what wins tournaments. And what she's done is she's able to put the mental change over to Brenda to say, here, there's a couple of marks up on the board. And I just see Shirley taking a big sigh of relief to get those out of the way because she can switch the pressure over to Brenda. That's what you're always trying to do, is put the pressure on your other opponent. And there's what happens. You pull the shot, and with 5 pin, it's such a high-scoring game. The momentum changes. Now Shirley takes the lead, and you want to make sure you hit both these pins here on this side because it's a big count, and she gets them both. Brings her 132 through the 6th. And pinning up here in the 7th frame, she's got to go over and start over. And so, like I say, it's not going to be a high-scoring game, so let's...
There it is.
Yeah, 147. We don't pay off by the pin, so winning is what matters. So let's see if the girls can say, Brenda just wants to get a mark here.
Oh, she and fiancé Dave Pankoff, as you've mentioned, I'd have to think bowling's top couple.
Well, they've done real well with him winning his big money this year. They're honeymooning in Greece. She told me a bit of the itinerary involving cruises and so on, and it looks like a pretty exciting time. And not so exciting here. As another head pin brings this one back to earth, and boy, she wants to pin both these off. She wants to forget these 2 frames. Oh. Still in this, not out of this by a long shot. Yeah, Shirley's still got some work to do, and Brenda wants to get the next 2 and the 3 here to give her a 13 count for the frame, get her up to 160.
Shirley, of course, the partisan favorite here, coming from the area, and it's going to be tight.
It's going to be certainly from the Rose Festival and getting a lot of action here. It's she got a lot of rooters because these next 2 shots are going to be pretty paramount for Shirley to grab this game. 93 working on a double, and she can put some real damage on the board here. She can be well on her way to win number 2.
Well, these lanes know
she wants to.
Oh, not enough.
Gets a count, though. It's a good count, 43 count on that first strike, bringing that up to 136. And she's going by. She's going to go by Brenda now and wants to spare this. This is probably her tougher pin to spare, being on this right-hand side, because she's got to play the ball down along the channel, as they call it these days. And,
there it is.
She kept it out on the lane a little bit and got it. And big spare there. Going through the 7th frame at 166. Lead over 30 pins and only 2 frames to play. It's when you look at the score now, it's Brenda's going to 250. That's her maximum score, 250. So Shirley, you know, as she did with Claudina, is wants to get it close, and there it is. That's a long way towards 250. 196 strike, and exactly what she did with Claudina. Brenda is going up, having to throw 4 strikes in a row.
And the momentum has changed.
Just one shot does it. Those 2 head pins really back to back. The 7th and 8th frame, and here's Brenda now looking at 4 strikes as a must.
Now there's a clutch strike.
But the next 2 are the next 2 as well, and this is where it. See that with the top score down 36 pins, both on strikes, and like I say, Brenda's maximum game 250. Crossing it over, and doesn't get it. It's all over. Shirley's $1,000 richer, as Brenda's going to have to settle for 2nd place. Spares the corner, 190, 220, the maximum game. And as I say, Brenda, one of the few bowlers who have tried to repeat at a tournament, and is not going to be able to do it this year.
It's a tough road to haul, and Shirley, who bowls here regularly, she's a league player here. Is that any advantage?
I think it's some advantage. I think it's some advantage being your local area. I think it's great for the some of the more senior players on the tour to come out and win these crowns. I think that's what shows bowling as being the lifetime sport, and Something you can play. Lloyd Ormerod was here this weekend at 74, still bowling and
going on 54.
still bowling and talking about next year already and ready to play. And it's just something we can do all the time. And on behalf of all the master bowlers, I hope we can do it forever.
Well, if you ever get an opportunity to visit Lloyd and his wife at their Hamilton home, it's a bowling shrine.
Well, he's got all his memorabilia, and he's got the scores and the data, and he can tell me all the games. Shirley's checking the score there. I think she's pretty happy and, you know, realizing what she's done, and she's got this in the bag and can just play this last shot and celebrate a win here at the Brunswick Rose Festival.
So there's our champion.
There's Joe. Kiss for the winner.
Shirley Chiki, the champion here at the Welland Rose Festival Bowling Festival. Final score of 236 to 220. We'll be back with more bowling after you watch this. Our men's quarterfinal matchup featuring Greg Peteraitis from Toronto. He is a bank auditor, averaged 274 points per game coming into this one. He'll meet Stony Creek's John Willock, 276. So this plans to be a very tight match, and both have been close in qualifying. The winner assured of $750, the runner-up $500. Willock versus Peteraitis, and Greg set to start it off.
Well, he's going to bowl the one frame as was John's choice, and John has chosen to finish first as well. So Greg bowls the one frame, then John will bowl two. John had a big day today. Greg had a better day yesterday. So we'll see if this has a bearing on it. And today John was 1478. Greg was only 1313. And in the middle, John threw 1,000 for 3 games. And that's what projected him right from the middle of the field up to the top here.
Greg, however, on a bit of a roll, had to win 2 games to make it this far earlier this afternoon.
Won 2 games, beat Rick Moran, who comes down from Ottawa. Beat him 278 to 253, and then got by Mickey Piker a little bit easier, 313 to 196. And but they've had an hour's wait since then, and now they're coming over here. And John said he was really looking forward to this game. He's played Greg once before and lost to him, but he's keen to play and got it sorted out today. And
John, a very familiar face at Lucky Strike Lanes in Stony Creek. He is an expediter at DeFasco, 39 years of age, and figures he's been bowling for about 31 of those years.
Well, he's done a lot for bowling, and he's done a lot for us. He's quite involved in all the sports. And, look, there's that 3-pin shot that people are having so much trouble with, and John gets that one out of the way early and pulls that one off. The men had a little better time with the scoring here this weekend. You know, 27-67 for John, and Mickey Piker 27-61, and 2 scores over 2,800. And the men bowled very well.
John, by the way, will be going to St. John's, Newfoundland as well, but in a coaching capacity.
In a coaching capacity, picked by the men's tournament team. And
that's an honor.
That's for sure. And he's done his work. He's done a lot of work with baseball, and certainly relates well with the bowlers. And the men always do well. It's a lot tougher with the men than the National Masters. And it'll be interesting to see. They're bringing up pretty well a new team there. Greg Peteraitis is on it, but the rest of them are pretty new. And as they say here, he's bowling against a fellow he's going to be coaching.
Peteraitis has won 4 Masters events, so this makes this tournament ever so special. The 5th means a diamond in the center of that coveted ring.
Yeah, a large diamond, and something the bowlers certainly look for. They seem to not think about the money when they're up there. Everybody wants to wear the Master Bowler's ring as a symbol of tournament victory, and it can always be a big barrier to get that 5th victory.
Regardless of where Greg finishes in this event, he's stepped up 1 from last year where he placed 6th, just missed out on qualifying for the television matches.
Well, he's done very well. He speeded his ball up a little bit this year. You see he's holding it pretty high. Brings it up. Throwing it a little bit harder this year, but boy, the fellas are fencing back and forth here and not going very far. Headpin chop off and a headpin as they stumble out of the gate here, literally.
Greg will be going to his 5th Master Nationals in St. John's. He was the 2nd best aggregate score in the province, certainly one of the men favorites.
Oh, one of the top bowlers all the time. I know he was in Newfoundland with us in '82, the last time we were there. We're in Corner Brook, and certainly part of the team down there. And picks up 13, goes through the 3rd at 43. Is a little slow match, similar to what the lady said last time with Brenda and Shirley. And John here wants to get something started. And the strikes will be there because he threw too many strikes today to not have them here in this game. And John being nice and tall, the nice reach, and able to lay the ball out on the lanes.
Had a high game in this tournament of 353, as we mentioned at the top of the match. 276 average coming into the game. Has had 2 perfect games over his career and a 448 at Sherwood Lanes in Hamilton.
I saw the 448 game. The pin was down and stood back up again. We were bowling right there, and it was an amazing shot, one of the most special shots I've seen in 5-pin bowling. It's away with a spare there. 65 through the 3rd. Working on a spare in the 4th, and despite the poor score, already sitting with a 22-pin lead, and Greg, who's already had a 278 and a 313 game, is
lots of action there.
Lots of action, and lots of strikes still to come. Playing the ball a little left to right, and moving it up to head. You see John sitting here with a 22-pin lead, but Greg get a chance here. He puts another strike up on the board. The game will be virtually dead even. And he gets it too. And that's that speed that he wanted to put on the ball. That's one thing Greg hadn't been doing over the years. He's been get into this condition with plastic pins and strings, and he'd been sacrificing maybe 20 pins a game. And so he spent some time, sped his ball up, and has done real well.
Well, so far, our best match of the afternoon.
That's right. And John's, boy, he's not playing this ball to the head pin a lot. He's gets a poor count there, which is something he didn't want, and Greg's certainly right back in this game. No trouble at all.
John's won 2 Masters events, the latest last year at the double knockout in Oshawa.
Very good, solid bowler. He's been, say, just solid in all the events. And I think the coaching that he's going to do in Newfoundland is going to be a big plus. He's a real technician of the game. And so you see here, John now wants to put another mark in the board. He wants to hit this head pin. He doesn't want to be missing it here. That's the problem shot. Ooh, that 3-pin dies in front of the corner, and wants to pick up this spare though, and 113 through the 5th, and get a spare here. He'll be okay, barring you know, Greg going on 4 or 5 in a row, and picks this up. Greg comes up, gives us a chance to. One of the things he's done as a hobby is visited bowling centers across Canada. He was going over that. I know we're in Red Deer. He took time out during some of the off hours to visit another one of the bowling centers. And
mentioned to me he's bowled in 213 centers across the country, and that's phenomenal.
Exactly, and he's just done really well visiting and logs them all. I think he marks them all down and knows where he's been, and
loves the sport.
Just loves it. He's one of the fellows who's done a lot of practicing. He's able to put some extra time into the game, and picks up that spare, which after missing the head pin brings him to 108, and they're 5 pins apart after 5 frames. John Willock leading 113 to 108 as the game is that close, and waiting for one of them to break loose. There's the score through 5. John leading 113 to 108, both working on spares. Making sure they're on the side here. Those are the shots that hurt because you lose on the count, and this spare becomes most difficult.
Well, despite that last shot, Greg told me prior to the match that the lanes here have been playing great.
Well, they've been playing great. I bowled with him as well. Brenda and I we were all in the same lanes, and like I said, they played well for all of us. And now Greg finds himself in a little bit of a hole here as he wants to pin this 15, and John though moves into the driver's seat and has a chance to control his own destiny here in these next 2 frames.
Interesting match for you to commentate on. You'll be playing the winner, and
wow,
a conflict of interest, but who would you like to play?
I don't think that really matters at this stage. I'm not really too concerned. It's certainly going to be a pleasure for me to be on the lanes, and I've certainly done enough commentating from the booth, and I'm looking forward to playing either one of them. And as I say, I don't think at this stage it's really going to matter.
No, when you get this far. Oh, plenty of play, and it paid off.
Well, that's right. And John's, like I say, he's able to control his own destiny here, and he's just moving ahead now as he gets 1 frame up, and 143 through the 6th and on the strike. And what John wants to do here is be able to put put a mark on the board here and take a 30-pin lead. Avoid the middle. Yeah, and he knew it too. Real competitor, John. And
gave it a bit of English, verbal
right.
and physical.
Exactly. And now with John wanted to finish first, he's going to be able to do that as Greg's going to go up here and bowl the 8th and 9th frame. He's 143. His maximum's 278. That's still a long way.
Greg, of course, part of the gold medal winning team at the Old V Championships in Red Deer.
Exactly, and certainly an exciting team. Really bowled well during the championship. They led most of the way, but then as we're doing here now, they had a stepladder final, and the team was able to come through and win there as well. So there's a lot of exciting things going on in 5-pin bowling in the last couple of months, and certainly that championship was one of them. But Greg is in a lot of trouble here as he picks these 2 pins off, taking himself 155 through the 8. His maximum now is 245. This shot must be a strike. There is no question about it. A spare will not be good enough here at all. This ball's got to be a strike. And it's not a strike, and that just means problems. Even to pick up the spare here, 185 would only bring him to 230, and John's not going to miss getting 230.
Right to left, gets it.
Gets the spare, but like I say, certainly in a lot of difficulty. 155 through the 8. John goes up now with 143 in a double, 2 frames still to play, and is just going to salt the tournament away. This is a chance to look at some of the others. Mickey Piker won $400. Rick Moran won 3. Some other scores. Kevin Berg, 26.73. He won 250. Ralph Eckert, one of the local bowlers, 26.63, and another $250. Ralph Malcolm, another local player, won 200. Ernie Tatarin also picking up $200 with 26.48. And John picks up this spare, moves to 208 on a spare, and 1 frame to go. It's all over. Like I say, there's Willock's my man.
It'll be Willock and Heaney coming up next.
If you look at some of the other scores, Nick Pagniello having a good tournament, 26.40. Dale Strutt, another fellow going to Newfoundland, 26.14. Ian Cameron is going to take over for me here, hopefully for 2 games, with 25.99. Brian Kay, 25.93. Mike Wilson, 25.81. Ron Gilbert from the local area, 25.78. The Canadian Open champion Mike Wood at 25.32. And from Guelph, Norton Sims, the last bowler to cash, with 25.28.
Tremendous relationship, you people as well, with the folks at Brunswick.
It's worked very well with Brunswick. Harley Perkins, who's now the manager for Canada, and Brunswick have been very supportive. They're having a great year, as he told me. 5 pins is booming. There's lots going on, lots of new building going on, and Brunswick's part of that. And it's a busy time with conventions. The Bowling Proprietors of Canada convention, the Bowlers Convention, the Proprietors of Ontario will be conventioning next week in Niagara Falls. There's June's a big convention month, and the industry settles down and reviews some of its yearly activities.
Peteraitis like Lista, not a star in the YBC competition, but certainly have blossomed quite well here.
Well, done very well in the adult gang. That's a tough game here. Gets this one out of the way, 193, and with a tough start, threw that big double in the 4th and 5th, but that was it.
So the final score, 258 to 193. John Willock advances against our very own Walter Heeney. Pickering, Walter Heeney averaging 280 points per game to make it into the semifinal round. He'll take on John Willock, our previous winner, and the winner of this match is short of $750. The runner-up $500. Ian Cameron, that's pretty good dollars for a weekend's work.
It's good money for the amount of hours you work. It sure is.
And of course, one step further from this, chance at $2,000 in prize money in the men's championship.
Yeah, John gets to bowl first here. Walter, being sitting here in the booth, getting down there, hopefully he's all loose, gets to bowl 2 frames after John bowls this first one.
For you folks at home, my colleague now for this match, Ian Cameron, former Canadian Open champion, who'll be taking part in St. John's, Newfoundland in July in the Masters, and heading the Ontario team out there.
That's right, Paul. We'll be going to Newfoundland, not only to bowl, but to have a good time.
Well, it's easy to mix both in this sport. 45 years of age is Walter Heeney, a full-time executive director for the Masters Bowlers Association, so you can say that bowling is his life.
Yeah, he's on the organizational end of it, does a great job there, and here he is bowling. It's nice to see, and starts out with a strike. Got the ball rolling very well right now.
And matches it up well, so certainly no worse for wear for 3 games here in the broadcast booth. Comes out with a tear here in his first match in the afternoon.
I'm sure Walter would like me to stay here for 2 games, and he's on his way to doing that right now. John like to throw a strike here, get back in the match. Oh, yeah.
Does so.
Good three-pin action on the strikes. Three pins are just kicking into the corners for both players. They got a good roll on the ball. They're bowling backup balls. As Walter said before, moving right to left on the lanes.
Willock, previous match, defeated Greg Peteraitis, as we have seen, is in a groove from that match. Hasn't let up here against Walter, but
We got a barn burner going here, I think.
Previous frame, Walter seemed to be right on track as well. Plenty of X's on board.
Good match so far. Yeah, good speed.
There we go.
Yeah. Good speed on the ball. They're both not overthrowing, getting good roll, and again, getting that good action.
Walter won a open event tournament in Hamilton this past Easter.
And Walter getting good lift in that ball at the foul line. Good action.
And that was his first win since 1981, where he picked up $1,500. So Walter's bowling really going through a resurgence of sorts here in 1989.
Yes, he has. He played well in the 10% in London a few weeks ago, and again here this weekend. So maybe he's getting back into the groove. Here's John, wants to have a strike just to keep in this match. Oh, he missed it. Just laid up in the ball a little bit, and it broke off. Walter having a 25-10 lead after 2 frames.
So far, bowling the perfect game.
Yes.
Tough break for John.
Perfect game. Air Canada has an award for that. I'm sure Walter would love to do that right here on TV. Picks up his 15. Got to come back with a strike here. Doesn't want to get too far down in this match, just in case Walter doesn't keep on going. There he is, right back.
Been a great match. 2 great competitors here, Heaney and Willock. And Walter telling me as well that he's lost a bit of weight, and that has improved his play.
I think it has too. You know, the extra weight, it prevents your swing from doing what you want, follow through and that. And right now you can see him, he's got good arm action, good follow through. Just pulled that one a little bit.
Well,
just pulled it at the foul line.
First blemish overall so far in this game.
Needs to pick up this spare to keep his lead.
Has won 6 Masters events over a terrific career, hoping to make it 7 this afternoon.
Yeah, going for lucky number 7. 155 to 105. Walter on a spare or John on the strike. Walter wants to keep things rolling right here.
Well, Shirley Chiki's play this afternoon is an omen of things to come for Walter. Things look great. Shirley, of course, the second-place qualifier, went on to upset Brenda Heaney for the championship. And Walter in much the same position, qualified second. Winner, of course, will take on Fraser Hambly in our final round match of the day.
Yeah, bowlers are superstitious just like any other sports personalities, and I'm sure Walter looked at that and said, I'm in second too. I can win this. So.
But first things first, Mr. Willock on the menu here. Here's a chance and takes out both pins.
All right, Walter's 190 through 8 frames. 6 frames, sorry. Strike here will put John right back in the match. Again, he's throwing the backup ball. Good swing, good delivery on that one. Ah, yes.
Caught the front pin at the far side, got the play he wanted, and of course the strike.
It's almost, when you see that ball leave his hand at the foul line, you can almost tell what it's going to be. Big shot here for him. Love to have a strike here. Hey. Oh, yes.
And a little commentary from John as the ball was delivered. Did so in the previous match and it paid off.
Well, I think he knew that was a big shot, and he wanted that one bad, and he showed it to us by just his reaction there. There's Walter's shot. Left corner pin. The 3-pin just kind of toppled on him there. Didn't get enough roll off of it. Earlier today, Walter had a 383 game, and that was a high game for his tournament. He had 1436 for his 5-game total today. Again, 2803. So he averaged 280 this weekend. Just a little off in that corner.
I would like that one back again. Yeah, averaging 258 in the league play.
Yeah, that left corner pin's a little tougher for the backup ball because you got to play it along the gutter there, and you can see that's where the ball channeled into. Well, Walter wants to come back with a strike here. as John is now starting to take upper hand on him.
I'm sure those previous 2 shots might be eating away at him, but he's got to put it behind and proceed and go for the strike.
Yeah, this, if you can look at this turning point, he's had 2 open frames to John's 2 strikes.
Willock coming off 3 consecutive strikes, and Walter matches that.
Yeah, Walter's got to fight back here, put some pressure on John. Hopefully, you know, for Walter, hopefully John will have a bit of a mishap, but of course we aren't hoping for that here.
Coming off a strike, big ball here now for Willock. Comes through again.
Yep.
Well, talk about putting the pressure on one's opponent.
Yeah, he's certainly got Walter under the gun now. This 9th frame could be the teller right here. John looking at going for 375 at this moment.
Walter opened up with 4 consecutive strikes. Willock,
there he is, yes.
Struggled just a bit, but has come on here in the latter stages of the match and is in control.
It looks like Walter will be back with you up here, Paul. Of course, if he can strike out here, he can certainly make John have to mark at least. So we want a strike here from Walter. Has to be. Yes, he did it. He's coming through.
Another clutch shot.
Clutch shot, yes it is.
Walter, of course, no relation to Brenda. The Heaney is spelled differently.
Differently, yeah.
Double E as opposed to an EA.
Mm-hmm.
But they do have something in common. They're both very good bowlers.
Both very good bowlers, yeah. So here you can see the situation. 203 on a double, 240 on a double. Walter will finish his game first.
Left corner pin, left up.
Mm-hmm. So that gives him 43. 248 in the 8th frame. John pretty well has this game under control now. Walter can still shoot 300 plus.
Oh, the cursed left pin.
Yeah, I think he's going to say that left corner pin's doing me in.
Finally.
289. Nice game for Walter.
Above his average.
Game. Above his average. Can't be ashamed of that at all. John Willock's just been throwing the ball a little bit better. Better roll. He'll finish this off. He'll probably be a little more relaxed now. Oh, he's still throwing. Sometimes in these situations when you got the game in hand, you tend to ease off. But John wants to keep it going, I think, for his next opponent, Fraser Hambly.
Willock with a 276 average coming into this game is going to be way above that.
Mm-hmm. Just bowled an excellent game. He's got the ball rolling so well. Right in the left-hand pocket there, just cleared everything out.
He's got a string of strikes going for him.
Yeah. 330 plus, if he can get 45 in this frame of a strike.
This will make it 8 consecutive strikes.
375.
Incredible.
Super bowling. And Walter too. 375, 289.
Well, Heaney can't complain about that. Willock was just superb. Ends it off with 8 consecutive strikes and will advance to the championship round against Fraser Hambly. We'll be back with our men's championship match. The top qualifier from Toronto, Fraser Hambly, an average of 282.4. He, of course, will take on John Willock with $2,000 in prize money up for grabs. The runner-up, not bad, $1,000. Hambly versus Willock, and we're set to go. And, of course, John with the honors first.
Well, as what's happening in the last game here, Fraser's choosing to finish first, and he's going to let John throw this first frame. And I was kind of happy when he didn't get a strike in this first frame, that he was maybe going to be off to a slow start.
Going back to last game, that is 9 consecutive strikes, and he is on a streak.
Well, that's 9 in a row, and like I say, just missing a couple of left corner pins certainly left the door open, and he just blew right on by it. Strikes and bunches are what wins, and certainly you throw 8 in a row to finish a game, 375. It's not going to lose anything.
It's been a great tournament for Hambly. He, of course, the top qualifier, as I mentioned, but he's been playing with a rather sore left leg, which he injured in a freak accident. Previous tournament, I guess a piece of glass on the floor, and he jammed his leg on it.
Yes, back earlier in the year, and he's had a few months trying to get over it, and I guess he started out the tournament with 388. He was out of the gate. He was the leader the first day with 1511. He doesn't, as he says, he's not a morning person. Didn't bowl well to start today out. And, boy, gets a 3-pin spare there to help that game.
Well, says he likes the lane conditions, especially the new rubber bands on the pins. Gives his ball more action.
Well, he's a technician of the game, naturally. He's been a Canadian champion a couple of times, just selected for induction to the 5-pin Hall of Fame. He's certainly one of the top 5 bowlers ever to play the game. And
5-time master event winner.
And 2-time Canadian, and that's It's really all major accomplishments. Started today with a 191 game, and looks like the wheels were off, and but finished with 383 to take the lead back in the tournament and be the #1 spot. And that's the spot you want to be in. You want to be just have to play one game to win it all, and tremendous winning spirit in this gentleman, and he knows how to win, wants to win, and he'll give John all he can handle here, especially with John coming off this 375 game. But with John, it's 9 in a row, and the streak continues. And
at 375 was 100 points better than his average for the tournament, so reaching new heights here. Make it 10 in a row.
10 in a row.
Does this man like to play on television?
Just a great competitor, loves the game, knows so much about it. And we talked about it being the coach. He's been a national competitor, and he's got the stroke. I think he said he wanted to play today. He was looking forward to it.
He wasn't kidding. Well, 11 on 11.
11 in a row. And that puts Fraser under the gun early.
Fraser, 46 years of age, been bowling for about 34.
Yeah, started in the days just at the end of the CJBC and into the YBC, and was a major league star at 16, 17 years old.
Last event won the Dick Adams Memorial in Oshawa. Tough luck there.
Almost surprised that he won that event. He had bowled rather poorly in our last event in London, and took his injuries with him down to Oshawa and beat the field, shooting about 27-35, and I think he won $600 down there.
Well, unlike several of the competitors we have seen this afternoon, Fraser will not be going to St. John's. He, in fact, had a tough last day. Was
tough day down there. It was pulled hamstring, acted up, and you don't see too many bowling injuries, but this was one of them. And
well, he'd play second heading into the final round, and unfortunately just couldn't make it into the top 6.
Just couldn't get it going. And right now, with 60 in the third, he's in a lot of difficulty here right out of the gate. Because with John sitting on 11 in a row, 8 from the last game and 3 here, it's a question of boy, how far ahead is he going to get?
Good look at the ball Fraser is using, and it is a plastic ball. Likes the plastic.
Yeah, but sometimes with the plastic ball, you get a more uniform weight and consistency, the weight variation, as opposed to a rubber ball, which can have some movement of the center of gravity even in the ball. With the plastic ball, you don't seem to have that. And I played with the other ones all weekend, and it's strictly bowler's choice. It's sometimes a question of what you can hang on to, what feels more comfortable in your hand, and I was playing with the Brunswick ball actually, and it was a question of looking. The ball wasn't hopping the corners when it hit, and you wanted it to carry through, and it did that most of the time. I see John playing with the plastic ball as well. Maybe I was doing the wrong thing. But there's 12, and as we say, he's had a couple of perfect games before. Not that this one's a perfect one, but had he done that on the Masters Tour, that's a trip for 2 anywhere in Air Canada. And
Ian mentioned that.
Certainly something we've been doing well with Air Canada. It's one of many sponsors that are on the tour, and the Nationals are sponsored by Walkers and Hiram Walker, and here we are with Brunswick, and the game is blessed with a lot of great sponsors.
Going for strike number 13 in a row. Far right-hand corner pin. That scoreboard looks like a voting booth with all those X's.
Well, exactly. 133 through the third already. Looking to spare this up, and
now Mr. Willock giving a new meaning to the term new math.
Boom.
Well, you've seen that shot before.
I've seen that shot before. Those left side that were there, I wish they'd been right corner pins, and I would feel a little more comfortable about them. But however, it's past history now, and I can't do too much about it. But if Fraser's going to be in this game at all, that was the shot, and it may be a similar pattern to what I did out of the gate as well, getting a few strikes. But it's up to Fraser now to come back, similar to what John did last game, and he's got to put some strikes on the board. And there's the first one. Gets him back into this. 90 through the fourth, a strike going, and certainly, the within 50 pins or less, and those kind of things are manageable. And he wants here to get another mark, bring the margin of the difference under 50 pins, and a spare here will do it. He doesn't have to get all back in one shot.
And as we have seen over the course of this afternoon, Always seems to be a let up one way or the other, and someone will let the door open just a bit.
Just a bit, and that's the game. It's a game of offense, and we wanted that spare. That was very fortunate. 120 through the 5th, spare up in the 6th, 56 pins.
Bit of a lonely time this afternoon for John. His wife and kids are at Crystal Beach.
Well, at the beach, and heck, if John can bring home the money, Judy will be happy regardless. And boy, John keeps that 56 pin age and gets back that strike ball, and boy, he's closing in on win number 3 here without any trouble. Yes, sir. 176 through the 5th and a double. We're talking about strikes. It's 12, 14 out of 15.
Member, as I mentioned earlier, from lucky strike lanes, but nothing lucky about John's play this afternoon. That's skill and talent.
That's for sure. The lanes aren't breaking a lot. They're not as dry as lanes could be, and John's able to hold the line quite well. And whereas Fraser's trying to work the ball a little bit and work it into the pocket, it's not going as well. When I say work the ball, he's trying to break it. You know, so he wants to break it into that left pocket. And it's John playing a little better of a line shot.
Over the course of 34 years, he has won 35 tournament events. That's not a bad average.
Well, certainly a major winner on the tour, and he's kept a diary of his career, and he can list them out for you. And like I say, with the Hall of Fame induction coming up this November 5th, it's just going to work out great. Fraser going in along with bowlers Helen McCallum, Ron Gifford, and from St. Catharines as well, Marjorie Summers. So it'll be a great night for 5-pin bowling again.
Bowling elite.
The bowling elite for sure. And now sitting through the 7th at 170, still with a 305 game there. Oh, possible, but very doubtful. One more here, we'll put the lid on it, and it's there. John knows it too.
Well, John's been on the step ladder twice, never has made it to the televised stage, and certainly made up for that here this afternoon.
Well, 221 in a double. He's still looking at 400, and certainly an amazing back-to-back games. 221 in this double, 401 possible here, and making it fairly simple. X
marks the spot. Little English there by John. We couldn't see it on our cameras, but
well, with Fraser's maximum of 305, John's really not in any trouble here at all. He's going to win this tournament. He's going to win $2,000. Fraser's going to take home $1,000, and for John, it'll be win number 3, and another fella too with his. He'll get a lot more chances to win some more events, and we congratulate John Willock from Stony Creek. Picking him up 296 through the 9th. 305 is the maximum Fraser's going to, so Fraser knows it too. He knows that the task is too large to overcome, and he'll have to settle for 2nd place in this event as well. And
John came off great guns in his victory over you in the semifinal match, Walter, and just picked it up here in the championship. Never gave Fraser a chance to really get into it.
Not really a chance at all, and bowled the exceptional games, winning the 3 games, and certainly, as he showed today with his bowling today, shooting 1478 today, as we talked about, 353 and a pair of 321 games around that. He pulled it together and carried it through, and Fraser's going out here with a few strikes, and he's going to look back at this game and see a couple of spots where he could have won it. At 215, the double, still 305 there. John Willock then needing a 10 count, which is really academic. Should Fraser throw 2 more strikes? That's not going to happen anyway.
It's been the story this afternoon.
It's been the story a little bit, but not enough. And we see 2 winners with Shirley, Chiki, and John Willock here. And as we really bring the provincial end of the 25th year of the Master Bowlers to a close, this 1988-89 season.
Fond memories from Welland for John Willock. $2,000 in memories.
Fraser finishing with 281. John able to just roll the ball. Look at the carry he had in those corners today. Just tremendous how he pulled those, carried those corners. And certainly, as you see, the winners have the best shot. I think we saw that with Shirley. And John, he just guides it in. And Maybe he's going to move down here and stay for a little while. Shooting back-to-back, 375. This one here coming up, one more strike. No, as he misses 35, 331, 375, 331, winning.
Well, the crowd is in awe. Mr. Willock didn't end off with a strike, but it was enough anyway to win this match, 331 to 281, and the Rose Festival Bowling Championship here in Welland. We'll be back with a final look after you watch this. And at the end of it all, we have two champions, a male champion and, of course, a ladies champion. Our male champion for 1989, John Willock, of course, from Stony Creek, and our women's champion from Font Hill, Shirley Chiki. Our Rose Festival queen for 1989 here in Welland is Lori Coring, and Lori would present the checks to the deserving winners' place. Congratulations to you, John, and, of course, to you as well, Shirley. Shirley, you beat the youthful upstart and Brenda Heaney from London. Tell me what it was like to come up through the ladder and have to beat the top qualifier. Tough.
Well, it was surprising that I did it, and I was very pleased, and because Brenda's such a tough competitor, and so is Claudina as well. So I was very happy with the end result.
You've been bowling for quite a few years. Does veteran experience count in this sport?
No. A lot of luck.
Between you and your husband, Joe, of course, a Hall of Famer, just a great bowling couple. This has to add just a little more icing to the cake.
That's right, it sure does.
Earlier in the match, in fact, in the 10th frame, rather, Walter mentioned in his commentary the match was in the bag, let's say a cement bag, and congratulations. Going to make work a little bit easier tomorrow.
Yes, it sure will. Thank you.
Best of luck. Shirley Chiki, our women's champion. Let's move over to John. Shirley, if you can just move aside ever so slightly. John, what a great couple of games. Walter Heeney finished him off with 8 consecutive strikes, and you open up in the championship round with even more strikes. Grand total of 19. Did you realize your luck would be so good this afternoon?
Well, I did really have a good shot today. The ball would roll over for me, and I had obviously great carry today.
The lanes played great all weekend long, most of the competitors thought.
Yes, the ball was breaking quite a bit more than it has here in the past years, which gives us a lot higher scores.
The strike phenomena. Did you realize everything was going to be so in groove?
Well, again, I had a good shot. I missed a lot this weekend, but when I did get my pace going, I knew it was going to be there.
Great tune-up event. You, of course, will be going to St. John's with our Ontario team in the Masters National Championships. The way you're going now, I think you'd like to go as a competitor rather than as a coach.
Well, it was a little disappointing to miss out, but being a coach will give me the opportunity to go.
Unfortunately, your wife and children were not here to see this great event. They'll get a chance to see it, obviously, on television, but what you'd like to come here and bowl alone, obviously, your thoughts were with them, and I'm sure theirs with yours.
Yes, they'll be watching, and I'm sure they'll appreciate the show.
John Willock, the 1989 champion, congratulations.
Thank you very much. If I could say, I'd like to thank Channel 11 for broadcasting the show, and also Brunswick, too.
Terrific. Thank you. John Willock, of course, an expediter with DeFasco, and today definitely a man of steel. Superman could not be beat, and you can attest to that.
Well, that's for sure. It was a pleasure for me to be on the television show, and then to run into John. He threw the last 8 in a row, and certainly that's all he needed. And if you hear John talk about it, he certainly understands the game a little bit, and to understand what he means about rolling the ball and it turning over for him, I think of all the players, when we saw the end of it, he definitely had the right shot for today.
Plenty of action on the ball and on the pins as well. Tell me about the effect of the new rubber bands.
Well, the bands, certainly there's been a problem in the province this year with scoring, and Bob Janak, one of the proprietors in Cambridge, has put together a band, and they're using it in various centers across the province now, and it's done very well, and we look forward to having more of them on the market next year and better scores, because that's what makes better bowling.
John will be coaching, Willock will be coaching our provincial team in the Nationals, the Masters Nationals, slated for St. John's in early July. And tell me about this. Was this a good tune-up event for the big event?
Well, a tune-up for everybody. The Greg Peteraitis, who we beat, he'll be out there playing. John's got a young team with him, and certainly a new team going to the Masters, and he'll certainly have his hands full with the coaching job. And Ian Cameron, who sat in for me in that one game and certainly did an excellent job, he's going to be the singles representative for Ontario, and I know he's very keen to bring home the national title to this province. No man has won it since 1975.
Well, the top 2 qualifiers in this event, unfortunately for them, go down to defeat as the folks moving up the ladder come on to win it, namely Shirley Chiki from Font Hill and from Stony Creek, John Willock. That is the 1989 Welland Rose Festival Bowling Classic, sponsored by Brunswick. On behalf of Walter and the rest of the bowlers, Paul Hendricks saying so long from Welland. See you back here next year.